The Russian Ministry of Finance is no longer afraid to admit the sad truth. The country is running out of money because of the war. And as a result, due to the drop in oil and gas revenues, a growing hole is forming in the budget that still needs to be covered. The only option is to use funds from the National Wealth Fund. But here's the most interesting part. The money there is also running out. More on this coming up.
Inflation in Russia is getting out of control. Prices are breaking records not seen in decades. We
are doing worse and worse and worse. Everything is getting more expensive and all of the prices are continually going up.
The problem is, no matter when you go, prices keep rising. And you comprehend, of course, it's getting harder for pensioners to purchase essentials every day.
What do you eat? You, specifically.
Whatever I can get. All sorts of frozen foods, pancakes, God willing. Just to keep body and soul together. Expired goods from work. Mostly expired goods.
Russians are now massively giving up on many ordinary food products. In 2025, from January through to September, sales of butter by weight dropped by 12%. But prices rose sharply by 31%. As a result, butter sales measured in rubles jumped by 17%. From 2025 onwards, this trend continues to 2025. Butter, even according to Rosstat, which constantly lies, has gone up in price by 57%. Prices are rising in the new year as well, literally in just a few days.
You can see for yourself. Just go to the Rosstat website. Literally yesterday there was news published there. You can check that from January 1st across a wide range of products. All dairy products are there. Margarine has gone up in price by more than 2%.
Russians are also saving on meat. They aren't buying the now more expensive beef and lamb. From January to September last year, retail sales of beef in Russia dropped by 6% in physical terms, while lamb sales plummeted by 39%. The reason is a price shock. According to Kremlin data, from February 2022 to December 2025, boneless beef has increased in price by 58.5% and lamb by 61%.
Beef is very expensive. I buy it, but very rarely. And lamb is good, but also very expensive. How much does a kilo of beef cost now? Oh,
it's a nightmare, really. Expensive. Somewhere around 700 to 800 probably. Just an example.
I'll go and check. Now I'm actually curious, because prices seem to have gone down. No, not at all. They've gone up. But there to buy yourself a decent piece of meat for almost 1,000 rubles per kilo. Honestly, that's not much of a pleasure.
Looks like that's just the tip of the iceberg. Because already in the first days of 2026, after the VAT increase, inflation in Russia shot up to the highs of 2022. During the New Year holidays, the first 12 days of the year, consumer prices rose by an average of 1.26%. And again, these are all figures from Putin's Rosstat. So most likely the real situation is even worse.
This situation is absolutely critical and demands our immediate attention. We must recognize the gravity of these circumstances right now, as any delay could lead to significant consequences that we cannot afford to overlook. It is vital that we treat this matter with the highest level of priority to ensure every detail is handled with care, reflecting just how essential this is to our success.
Everything's getting more expensive in aggressor country, but the rise in food prices is felt most sharply.
For fruits and vegetables, the numbers are insane. Cucumbers alone have gone up by almost 30%. This is a pretty standard annual occurrence. And we can see that it got even worse last year because of a poor vegetable harvest. In other words, it was even worse than in 2024. Urban transport fares are traditionally indexed starting January 1st.
Experts are certain that inflation will reach record levels this year.
This year is going to be more inflationary than 2020. Prices will rise even faster because they are actively printing money. They really are ramping it up very sharply. Right now, the volume of the money supply.
High prices have already hit demand. The population of the terrorist country is saving money. They're giving up not only food but also beauty salon services and going out to cafes.
Are there fewer consumers, fewer clients now?
Yes, there are a lot fewer now. Since prices are high, people still try to buy less.
And by about how much has the flow of clients decreased?
The flow of clients has probably dropped by about 40%.
As a result, part of small businesses in Russia are shutting down.
The result of all these tax innovations is a significant decrease in competition because a large number of businesses will be closing down. I have been receiving a huge number of messages about this issue. They say, Vyacheslav, you mentioned that things are closing down here and there, this and that, but you haven't been to our city. I walk down the street, barbershop closed, cafe closed, flower shop closed. This is shut down, that's shut down, that's shut down, just over the new year alone. And this is exactly what will keep happening in the coming months.
Things are so serious that experts insist business is now declining not because of expensive loans taken out for development, but because of a collapse in demand.
Institutions close to the authorities have conducted their own research and surveys and have found that the main crisis trigger now, the main problem for Russian business and the Russian economy, is not just the key interest rate, but the collapsed demand, the aggregate demand in the economy. In other words, people are tightening their belts and they're buying fewer and fewer items. Turnover of goods is down, people go to restaurants, bars and movie theaters less often, they travel less, buy fewer durable goods, electronics, appliances and everything else. And this is already a record 70% share since the 1998 default. Since 1999, a record number of Russian companies have reported that it is precisely the collapse in demand that is the main obstacle.
The closure of small and medium-sized businesses hits the entire budgetary system of the aggressor country. It is the regions that feel this blow first. Entrepreneurs fill local budgets, as well as social and extra budgetary funds. And there, it's already a catastrophe.
What does the closure of businesses mean? They primarily feed the regional budget, they support the federal subjects. It's not just a deficit we have. In the federal budget, at the level of the capital, at the Kremlin level, it's almost 5 to 6 trillion rubles. The deficit last year amounted to that. We also have a huge number of other issues. Regional budgets, off-budget funds, the social fund, which merged the pension fund and social security, has a 700 billion ruble deficit, and the medical fund has a huge deficit as well.
This comes amid a record drop in oil and gas revenues. The Russian Ministry of Finance is sounding the alarm. Money may simply run out. Oil companies are being forced to offer discounts of up to 50% just to sell raw materials to India and China. According to Bloomberg, Ural's oil has plummeted to $35 to $37 per barrel. This is the lowest in 5 years, while the budget was calculated based on $59 per barrel. According to Reuters analysts, oil and gas revenues will collapse by 46% as early as January.
We need to prepare for a deficit of 7 to 8 trillion rubles in the upcoming year 2026. The Ministry of Finance will not have any 3.8 to 4 trillion. This is already clear from the current trend in oil and gas revenues, which in December and January, revenues fell 450 billion rubles short of the planned 800 billion.
Putin has nothing to plug the budget hole with. There are only 4 trillion rubles left in the National Wealth Fund. At best, that's only half of the final deficit. As a result, the aggressor country, under harsh sanctions that have cut off all business opportunities, most importantly, those that have hit Russia's oil and gas sector, is sliding into the abyss. And now it's happening at an accelerated pace.